you're a grown man watching these grown men do
Right.
this shit, which is even cooler.
For sure.
Cody's so pumped. He wants to damn go trade for Bradley Chubb right now.
I mean,
Um,
a lot of people were talking about it. I know that people think that we might still need to. We probably need to pay him soon. But hey, if we're just talking, and hey, it's a podcast. That's what we do. We're just talking. Imagining Brian Burns as the bookend to Bradley Chubb. I'm just saying,
Insane.
man. We don't.
Insane. What do you think? My question: when is his deal? Is he at the same class as Brian Burns?
Greg, why don't
Because
you look that
if they were,
I think they're 1 year
and the
different.
echo is back.
You're talking
I
about
think they're
Chubb?
1 year different. Yeah, Bradley Chubb, just what year was drafted. I think it was.
It's
the
technically
year before.
possible. Then
The
you
year
could
before.
do it if they're not in the same class, because you could.
2018, Bradley Chubb. Sorry.
What was Burns? He was 18, wasn't he? I think he was.
Was he?
2019.
Okay, awesome. So you could find a way where you don't have to do 2 contracts in the same year. You have the franchise, you have the 5th-year option, you have the franchise tag for maybe Brian Burns. This would actually be a realistic way of like making through a free agent acquisition a dominant defensive line right off the gate, because you would have the money if you drafted a quarterback next year.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I mean, as long as you're not going to go out into free agency and get a quarterback, which you probably can't anyway. I mean, you don't want to make a mistake like you've done in the past, like the Colts are dealing with Matt Ryan.
Oh,
so
terrible.
You could draft a quarterback and roll with Matt Corral. And on the other side of Brian Burns, when you brought this up, I thought this sounds stupid. This might even be a good thing to do, even if you don't expect to be good this year at all. Just to do
because
it.
even
Like,
if it doesn't work out, all right, let him
just go ahead and re-sign him and let's go.
But like, even if it doesn't work out, let him hit the free market just like Hassan Reddick did. If he's not in our long-term plans, I think this would give us another boost to fight for this division. And isn't it damned how awesome it is when you're not paying a quarterback all this money next year? We don't have to pay big-time quarterback money. Why shouldn't the Panthers use the rest of their dollars to bolster this football team while we have a good defense, man? And he went to North Carolina State, so he's already used to the Carolinas. Bro, I'm down for it, man. We have to talk about how much you would be willing to give up for Bradley Chubb, but with what we got back for Christian McCaffrey, we have the ammunition now.
Yeah, but I think that it's similar to the Brian Burns situation, right? When people are offering us 2 first rounds for Brian Burns, if we are to take that as fact, Bradley Chubb is in the same category.
Yeah.
You know,
I think so.
Yeah.
I would love it, man. It might not be.
I would wonder what the cost would truly be. 28. So they're going to lose him, though. And they can't. He's in his 5th-year option right now. 18, 19, 20, 21, 22. They're going to lose. They probably can't get a first. They probably can't get as much because they don't have next year. That's maybe what Brian Burns' value is.
He's actually not as good as Brian Burns. He's 5.5 sacks 1 year with 1 sack. Well, he did get 12 one year.
He was hurt. Yeah.
Hey, real quick, just so I don't forget about it. Muscles marinara with the $5 love bomb says Matt Rule's the type of guy that wears a t-shirt in the swimming pool. Absolutely, he has that kind of vibe. And Tony's illegitimate bastard child, White Chocolate Espresso, says lost to the Browns by 2, New York by 3. 13-10 in the 4th versus the Cards, tied 10-10 in the 4th versus the Rams. And all those games, our quarterback played like trash. Thank you, man. This is what I'm saying. The Bears have been competitive. Now we have the requisite parts to put ourselves over the edge. I'm feeling it, man. And then people want me to temper my expectations. Don't fucking tell me what to do, bro. I'm feeling good. And look, I would be interested in knowing what it would cost for Bradley Chubb.
Yeah, I want the chat to tell us this. What is the cost of Bradley Chubb? Go ahead, you
So,
tell us in
by
the
the way,
chat. Call in at 252-228-5098.
just to kind of add to that, Von Miller, his contract situation, he only had half a season left on his contract. So does Bradley Chubb. Miller was traded by the Broncos to the Rams last year in exchange for a second and third round pick. So, would you be willing to give up a second and third round pick
Yes.
for Bradley Chubb?
Hell
Oh,
yeah.
in
If you get Von Miller
heartbeat,
production,
bro.
hell yeah.
Yes.
In a
If
heartbeat.
we can essentially do what we did, where we still actually we would be basically getting rid of Christian McCaffrey's contract and getting extra picks, and then also Bradley Chubb at the same time. The only downside is having to pay him next year,
Which is fine.
You
Right.
got to
Which
pay
is
good
fine.
players. At some point in time, you got to pay good
You know
players.
what is that? This is you can. I'm telling you, defensive ends. This is like when he's about to come into his prime, right? He's had an injured season already. He's come back around. He's like This is Brian Burns. I'm telling you, you draft defensive ends, even the best of the best. Some to take time to develop. So like, you can't go and just add a defensive end in the draft next year and him be dominant. Even the best, like Aiden Hutchinson, is doing well, but that defense is struggling like crazy. And it's not, there's a learning curve for that position. Year 3 is when defensive ends break out in their career. Usually, year 4, like this is his time. You put him with Brian Burns, it could be instant defensive front dominance. And this would be a more balanced, I think, line with Bradley Chubb than, it's just like he's the type of guy who can do everything. He can play the run. He's not just like Burns. Well, I won't say just like, is that Burns you need somebody on the other side that can do everything. And I think Bradley Chubb is that type of player.
My only holdup is there's a two-part to this holdup. Okay. Number one is if Bradley Chubb comes here and we aren't a better team and he doesn't want to stay here and he comes here for half a season and he leaves after this, right? That's number one.
Would suck.
Number two is he does want to stay here and we pay him next year. You don't think Brian Burns is going to be pissed as hell that he's not getting paid before Bradley Chubb is getting paid? I know he has money left on his rookie deal, but the dude is putting up. We clearly value him.
Yeah, you're probably right.
You know what I mean? Like
the timeline could be problematic. All right. So let's just be honest here. Is that if you were going to do this, you have to do it with the idea that you're going to keep him beyond this season, right? Like that would be the only reason you would do it. And then the second is that it would only be great if you want to have him with Burns. Like if you knew that you could pull it off, like you need to be able to know that you're willing to, and that might be hard to do right now when you don't know who the coach is. And what their vision would be because if you saddled them with that, with 2 big contracts and they didn't have a choice and they didn't that could hamstring that coach and at least, or make them be kind of concerned.
I think the fact that after the Christian McCaffrey trade, we now have 2 4th-round picks, we have 1 3rd-round pick, and we have 2 2nd-round picks. So again, you're not even completely decimating your draft if you did decide to trade for him. And by the way, even like Von Miller with the Rams, get him to make a push, and then let him leave in free agency, and then pay Brian Burns, and then draft another defensive end, or go look to get someone else in free agency. There's ways to do this. Yeah, I mean,
we are 2-5, and you're talking about trading to make a push.
Hold on.
NFC South,
Here's insane, dude.
Here's the argument.
It's like it was insane talk I've ever heard.
Here's the argument. None of this happens until after Sunday. If we don't come out here and we don't show a dominant performance against the Falcons, do not be buying shit. But if we come out here and we put a
this is gonna be awesome. If we lose to the Falcons, like what is the exact? It's gonna be this conversation that Cody's having, but the complete opposite.
I get what you're
Let's
saying.
go
CK,
to number one draft pick.
Yeah, it just seems
It's
like
all
it's
right.
like I don't know, like the one more win like puts me in. That's kind of like how I feel about players who
love
are like
this. It's like
whenever we look
drugs,
at players
dude.
in the draft and we're like they didn't go to the combine. It's like, well, did you really need the combine to really make that decision? Like, does one more win really sway you towards one way or the other? Like, I'm in limbo right now too. I don't know what to feel, but I don't know if one more win or one more loss makes me all in on either side. You know?
Well, one more loss is like, come on now. There's a like, it's crazy. This is what I was trying to say is like, this is this drug of hope, the drug of optimism is what we're on right now. Like,
Yeah.
give us some more of it. We've helped that we touched the high right now. Is now we're chasing the dragon.
Yeah.
That's what my dad would say is don't chase the dragon, is like kind of trying to keep up with that high right there.
By the way, guys, if people are talking about Brian Burns not having a 10 sack season, he's on pace for 12 to 13 right now.
Yeah, he's playing great this year.
He's incredible, man. And I've said that you haven't even seen Brian Burns play his best football.
I agree with that. I agree with that 100.
He's continuously getting better. I think maybe even Al Holcomb coming back in as our defensive coordinator, which that's something that we don't talk about enough. Holcomb has our defense playing lights out, and we're adding people back. We might even see YGM take another step forward. So, I'm pumped, man. Like, whether or not we start trading or not, I think that we have a good defensive core. I wouldn't care either way, man. If we decided to trade for Chubb, I'd be pumped about it and what that meant for our season. If we don't, man, dude, I'm drinking the Kool-Aid, bro.
Went to NC State, by the way. Went to
I said
NC
that,
State.
man.
Okay.
He's familiar with the Carolinas. Bring him home.
I do want to do a couple plugs before we move on. One is you can help support the podcast by smashing the thumbs up button, calling in at 252-228-5098, or even considering becoming a C3 super fan. Look for the join button. For $1.99 a month, you can support the podcast and show your loyalty in the chat with your cool emojis. We're going to be adding, now we got to add a Wilkes emoji. We got to add a Wilkes emoji right now. That's what we got to do this. We're doing that after the show. Is
there
Wilkes?
A blue heart?
Oh, yeah.
Emoji.
Yeah. And so what we can do is you can, for $1.99, you get to support the show and keep us growing. Man, we have been growing crazily to the point now we're working on 5,000 subscribers. So I want everybody to call in at 252-228. Tell us if we're crazy. Tell us if you're having a good time. Are you on the drug of optimism? Are you coming down from that high from Sunday? Are we ludicrous for trying to find a scenario where you could pair Bradley Chubb and Brian Burns together? It would really make this defense this year so much better right away. But also, I like the long-term prospects of that. And don't forget, we're sponsored by Prize Picks. We're going to be doing those probably about 15 minutes. I want to do the Prize Picks in about 15 minutes. You go to prizepicks.com, you use the promo code C3, you get a 100% first-time deposit bonus on daily fantasy football sports, and you can make some real cash doing this. We had a good weekend. Greg had a good weekend. He had a good Sunday. I've lost my one tonight, though, but I got one coming up. I'm on Lamar Jackson. Who do I got this Sunday? I got right now I got some. I want to go to the cat calls next. I got Lamar Jackson and Kyler Murray. And I'm rolling with Lamar Jackson, Kyler Murray on Sunday, or my daily fantasy football plays. But later in the show, in about 15 minutes, we're going to get to where we pick the Panthers. We'll look at both the Panthers prize picks and those who they're playing with the Falcons and peek around the league. Use the promo code C3. Cody, let's go ahead and